Okay, so thank you so much again for taking your time. Whoever is watching this video, I'm speaking with Amentia today. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes.
Amentia.
Amentia, yeah.
So
Amentia
yeah,
works. Yeah.
it's a cool name. I think I heard you talking about it once where it came from, that you just kind of felt like it sounds cool.
Yeah, at the beginning, we pronounce it with Etienne Amentia at the beginning, and it was just because it sounds cool. That's all. We were looking for a name that you can say it easily, you can keep in mind easily, and that sounds not too much boy or girl, like just something in between. So we found that it was cool, and we get home, we just start to looking for on Google if it means something, and on the first search, the only things we found was about a psychedelic dream that you can have only once or two in a lifetime, and you can actually be a bubble or something like that. We were like, that's really super cool. It can be really nice and linked with the music. And some months later, some people said, but why did you choose this name? And they told us another description of it that was in Latin, in Greece.
Okay.
Amentia means literally, if you cut the word, if you split the word, mentia means mental, so like the faculty, just all the thing that's linked to mental. And like for example, when you lose your voice, you say you are aphone because you lose phone. So here we lose mental. That's another meaning.
So it's another word for sort of stupidity or
It's even
something
worse
like that.
because stupidity means that you still have a mental. Amentia means like you are not even able to be stupid.
Which then can go back in some spiritual state, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not,
And
it's not
even
that stupid
after
anymore.
you think, if you think about it, one of the most famous electronic band of all time, Daft Punk.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
always stupid.
it's also a silly name. So in the end,
Exactly.
it doesn't matter. So yeah.
Yeah, Pink Floyd. Like I mean, it's what you
Yeah.
do with it.
Yeah.
That matter.
Okay. Let's jump directly. So my project is about international success of artists in music, and I see you're being super international already. You've been having live gigs all across the world, basically, in Asia, in Canada, over Europe. Where did all that start? Did it start in France, where you're originally from, or did it start somewhere else?
Yeah, it started in so where we are basically born in Strasbourg, and we know each other from the same neighborhood in Strasbourg in France. And so we started first to organize events with friends, etc. And then we found like locations to play. So it would be like small bars and venues and all. But yeah, it started really on a small scale locally, and then after time it came like with organically with publishing songs on SoundCloud and all. We got the reach on more like Berlin first, and then it got more and more after. But yeah, the first step definitely is locally in our hometown.
In the order of what just said Etienne, we had an organization that we've created to organize events, like Etienne said, and many people inside this association, I don't know if it's fit in English, did make music. They all made music, but on our side for almost a year, we did work music on computer, but because Etienne has me, we did. Etienne is a drummer, I am a pianist. So for us, all music made on computer was kind of shit, to be honest, because we didn't knew it. So we were like, okay, no, that's like not something for us. And when we start to discover more and more, electronic music, but through the eyes of our friends, we start to think, okay, maybe we have some stuff to do. And for almost a year, as I said, we just discovered how making music on computer and showing only at our friends. And at some point we said, we decided to, okay, we can maybe send some stuff at different label. And after we start sending to Berliner label and things like that. And it did go quite quickly, and we didn't like had the sensation to really try out the thing a lot before we get signed. And after but basically we starting making music on our side, and after a year when we thought, okay, now here it's something that it's kind of look alike, all our music look alike, kind of in French we say pat, imprint, and imprint in English maybe, like something that like, okay, sounds you. When we start to think, okay, maybe this is our style, our kind, we at that moment we did send it to the label, but we did nothing else.
Okay, so basically the way you went into having gigs in Germany was through being signed through labels, or did you have were you booked in Germany before that, for example?
Yes, so yeah, it's basically just we posted music on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
And at the time it was about 2014 something, 15. SoundCloud was still very hype for the electronic music scene in the deep house, or in this kind of genre. And then we got signed on a label called Cross Frontier Audio. And
the months later,
the head of the label is Mark Popke, and he invited us to a showcase then in Amsterdam, and then and then we got also connections in Berlin and all. But yeah, the first entry was the music. Yeah, and
super nice. Also good to make the right connection, but that you know it's coming from someone listening to your sounds actually.
Yes, and today that's really more hard, because it's really hard to get the attention from people with all the social media. So today you can make really good music, but you're not sure you're gonna have the person in front who's gonna listen it and have the right connection then. So yeah, it's scary. I guess today it's not the same. So yeah.
It's true, but in the same time, I remember at that time already people told us, I know, but like if you want to work in this kind of industry, you should know people, you should make some connection. And we
That's sure, but I mean in our case, so
yeah, but by that I mean like in every period, every people have always a sensation that no, now it's finished, it's closed, we cannot do it in the same way. While actually, for example, on the YouTube game, like since 10 years people say no, YouTube, it's too late now to start YouTube, and every years you have like new YouTuber really famous that's pops. So it's always that. But something that's completely true, it's different today. Nowadays it's like marketing, as Etienne say that often, but like I mean in music now, to start something, it's maybe 70% about marketing and 30% about music.
Probably, yeah. But then how did you handle the marketing from that point on? Like, let's say in Germany, did you start maybe changing your language to English, or did you do some specific changes to your marketing as you became more international across Europe?
I think the switch to English came naturally, because with the signing of the first track on a German label. So yeah, it was pretty obvious to change the language. And then I guess for the strategy was just basically we are not like really good in social media. I mean, nobody's good in social media, because it's really a skill you have to learn. So either you are interested in it or not, and we weren't so interested in it. So we took a bit the late train, for example, for Instagram. We were like a bit taking our time. But yeah, I think for the most coverage we have for people in the first time was SoundCloud. And yeah, that's what really helped us a lot. But yeah, each time now it's all the 2-3 years there is another platform. So it's always changing how you can reach people now.
Yeah. And if you look at your followers across social media, where are they mainly located? Or let's say, I don't want to just equal fans with followers, but maybe we can do for now.
It depends of what platform you speak about.
Yeah.
Because for Spotify, it was for a while it was Istanbul, the first city that listened us, but we had a lot of American people, German people, English people, Swedish people, like, and like curiously, we don't have so much an impact in France. That's what, like, we almost start by making something international and not local. Like at the beginning, we starting, as Etienne said, as a local, but I mean really local, as our town, to just organize party and just, you know, when you're young, you want you just do something. And naturally, because it was a German label, and quickly after another German label that's called Tramschaplatan, that was like a really cool structure for us, because other artists that we liked already released on. So we were immediately in a mood of, we have to speak English. Most of the listeners will probably not come from our country, and it wasn't a choice. It's, we, as Etienne said, we are not like, we are not shark. We don't try to like make our own play somewhere, and it did go as it's supposed to go. We didn't try something else. But something that we did keep control, and we love making it. It's like all the visual, the idea of universe, thinking of like your artistic direction and this kind of thing. That's, we like to do that. But because we like to do this more because it's cool to do, but not thinking of, that's a cool idea in a marketing. Like for like the first 5 years, we didn't care at all about marketing. Like we were just like, it's cool to do that, so let's do it. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can also get quite creative and artistic in your marketing if you want to, right? Or just show your personality as you are in Instagram. I think it works pretty well to get people to sympathize with you and get to know you, who you are. And I think if you just share that, it can also work really well. I mean, I find your post, for example, super personal and just showing how you love nature, and then in the end this connects with your sounds, and it kind of conveys your personality in a way that you don't need to make big strategies, I guess, around.
But now we have to, like, to be honest,
it's the time.
Like everyone. But in 2019 we did take a break for different reasons. And when we thought about being back, we speak with Etienne, we change our agency and different relation that we had with people, and we start in 2020, and we had like a tour organized, and literally we had, at that moment Etienne lived in Bretagne in France, so on the West Coast, and me in Bordeaux. So we had to go in Paris to go somewhere else to start the tour. And literally the same day, like our president said that the France closed the border because it was coronavirus. And since this, it was like kind of, when just before I told you, we didn't think or organize or overthinking strategy. At that moment, we start thinking really too much, because we really had the sensation to, okay, we are really not in the mood. We are too much aside of like what's happened and the way that people actually do to perform now in music, and we felt like really okay, and we are just like maybe too disconnect of capitalism vision of it, and we had to really focus really more. And the last 3 years, from 2020 to 2023, if we had to be honest, yes, of course, we start thinking of a more marketing vision. And it's not that we don't have any how you say that in English? It's not that we don't have any skill in marketing. I mean, Etienne is an engineer, he did that first time, and me, I do marketing study like in a big, like huge school in France. But I always felt that like music should not be like the main reason should not be marketing. So that's why it was really hard for Etienne and I to consider that our music became just a project like another one. You can sell music today as you sell e-cigarettes, electronic, like just a product. Like the people that hold the business in it, like the Spotify guy, like the CEO of Spotify. Just before, he was like the CEO of a hair condition project, climatisation in French. So when you know that, you say, okay, like probably the biggest guy in music industry actually absolutely he doesn't care about music. He really he doesn't care. Like the only thing he care it's making money. That's the real point today. And so we have to adapt our vision to, like, you have the artists that still keep in mind that you do music because it's fun to do and you want to share. Like the main objective, it's when you make music, I mean, if you were alone on earth, I don't think that a lot of people will do music. Like even if you do it for yourself, it's because you have other people that are able to listen, that it's take another dimension. So a lot of artists nowadays still keep in mind that the objective is making something that I like, and you take really a lot of pleasure when you know that other people will actually like it too. But that's really a rare vision, and more, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably some balance between keeping the artistic side of what you're doing and keeping the fun in it and having it develop in a way organically, but then being able to spot those points where people like what you're doing and take the most out of it and apply it in other areas maybe, or find some people that haven't known you yet that might be liking the similar parts of what you're doing rather than trying to adapt what you're doing. But then yeah, it's probably a dance or a balance between the business interest and marketing strategy and just your artistic organic development, I guess. But do you have, like, let's say, why do you think is your music resonating in specific countries? Do you see cultural elements or style elements influencing it? Like, let's say Berlin or Germany, do you think it's your electronic scene vibe, for example? Do you think in Asia, there's something in your music that is the drums or some instruments that maybe resonate with your audience in Asia? Or do you see links in your musical style or in your artistic expression that resonate with particular countries?
For the electronic music side, I think Berlin is pretty obvious because I mean, it's globally now everybody knows that everything related to electronic music is happening a lot in Berlin. I mean, at least in Europe, it's stays the capital for electronic music for decades now. So globally, it's not the same because there will be other cities like I don't know that at the moment one of the best cities in the world. Some say it's Los Angeles. It depends. But I think for the electronic side, it's Berlin, and for for example, for Turkey, Istanbul, I think it's because we have this you could call it the organic house approach in our music with the elements that are from the Middle East and that kind of vibe. So yeah, that's I think something you can find in the music, and that's often will resonate with those people because maybe it's a cultural thing. But I know that the organic house works a lot in the Turkish side, Middle East part. Mm.
Mm. Makes sense, definitely. And how is it in the US? What do you think? Or Canada? I see you were there also.
For US and Canada, I think
It's
it's
just like electronic music became more mainstream. That's all. Like, and now, like, as Etienne said, in Germany was probably one of the first country that promote. It became huge, like electronic music, and that's not really the case nowadays. If I think I don't, less and less, I feel that like Berlin still huge in the mind of people about electronic music, and it's just that
in Europe still.
yeah, in Europe, yeah. But
Yeah.
and the main point, I think, it's just that electronic music became kind of mainstream. It's not the main thing because it's hip hop, the mainstream, but it became something that like nobody is surprised because you said, "Oh, I love electronic music." While 15 years ago, it was kind of, "Oh, yeah, really? You listen, boom, boom, boom." Like it was kind of for a lot of people pejorative, like negative to be part of this kind of music. And now it's really not true. Like in United States, it became like really huge, in Canada too. So I don't think that it's, obviously you have some link. For example, we had like for a while a Soul Selecta label that was a label based in California. So obviously you do have some link on Los Angeles and thing linked to that, but nothing explain why people listen us in Canada except that people starting, like, for example, in Japan, they starting now to listen electronic music. Like and for like the 10 last years, it was more like the pop rock, the main thing, while in Europe pop rock was in the 90s, like not in the ends. So it's just depend of the culture, but I don't think it's not because our music makes some bridge to different cultural music. I don't think that that's the reason why it's international. I don't know. I just think that like it's became more and more something normal to listen electronic music, and because, as we said at the beginning, we started by being focused on international rather to be focused on France. Naturally, the projects spreads easily internationally than locally.
Which is nice, right? Do you like being international? Like, what's kind of your feeling of success? Is it being able to tour around different countries, have as many gigs as possible? Or do you want to like stay in some kind of underground scene, or do you see yourself on bigger venues in the future? How do you project?
I think we actually we as Raphael said before, we are a bit still questioning why we are not famous as much in other countries in France. So normally we are French, so we should play more in France, and so that's something we are working on, and we still don't understand. But of course, it's amazing to be able to play internationally, and it's a big luck. And we discovered so many countries. For many people, it's impossible to do that because it's money wise, or there are many different reasons. But I think personally for me, and I think maybe Raphael, it's the case too. If we could play mainly just in Europe and in France, it would be okay. Like it's not necessarily a need to play in Canada or in US, and even more as more and more we are saying that with the global warming and all the crisis problem in the industry, it's now very common for artists to question the fact of taking a plane for just 1 or 3 gigs in a row in a weekend. So it's huge. Like in 2 months, you will have the same imprint in carbon as someone in his whole life. So there's a problem, and it's also
And the main problem
there should be a balance where normally an artist should mainly play locally, and internationally it should be like exceptions. So I think logically it should be the future to be more like this here, I guess.
Yeah, there is 2 points, like Etienne said. First, I think without music, as Etienne said, it was, at least for me, that's come from not a rich family, it will be totally impossible to travel so much. Like so for this kind of thing, we are really happy of it, to be able to do it. And on the other hand, now that, as Etienne said, if I agree with him, like if we are able to play 90% of the time in France, so let's do it. I mean, like, but maybe we are able to think it because we already did travel in different places. If we were locals in the beginning, probably we will tell you like, no, we will work hard to be international. But Etienne and I, as you say too, and I'm happy that like people outside can see it, we love nature. We do like hiking all the time. Like we do love nature, like truly. And in the same time, you do enter in a paradox of kind of, you want to speak about nature, like loving nature, and destroy it more than anyone on earth, like compared like to the normal people. And the worst is like when you have like so much artists now that like it's become literally a trend to be ecological, while like it makes absolutely no sense. Like it's not a problem to travel, like every person have their own reason, but it do become a problem for me and for Etienne, I think too, when now it's became cool to being ecological and to spread the ecological vibe. Was the same. Okay, up. I was saying, it's weird for us because when you see like more and more that it becomes like literally a trend to be ecological, while you do actually like the worst to the earth, and it's not a problem. Again, like everyone live his life as he want, but we've in the beginning of our career, we felt disconnect about the marketing vision and this kind of thing. And now today we feel disconnect about like the international progression and the fact to growth internationally, and the fact to more and more think of why actually we doing it. Like we want that our music can be listened everywhere in the world. And sometimes, for example, we often speak with that about Etienne. Our dream schedule will be, for example, you have nothing during the year except local gig, and for 1 month you do like a whole tour, and like that people that listen you across the world and that they won't listen you, so they are able to do it, but you can all stack in one month, and like rather to move here and 1 month later, sometimes you literally do a gig to go to the other side to come back again to come, like it makes no sense, and it's stupid, like for real. And I don't understand why, like Etienne said, like it became more and more a question in the artist vibe, but I do personally don't have like the sensation that people actually speak about it publicly. Like it's but we did see some artists, even friends, that advise people during the coronavirus to say like, please guys, don't take the flight or often. If you can avoid taking flight, don't do it. And we were like, come on guys, like last year you fucked up your carbon imprint for a lifetime. You are not the right person to give advice, and it's make no sense. So we do love our international imprint because it's like that we were able to travel first, and that's really cool. And on the other side, it's cool that people listen more and more across the world our music. That's really cool, and we do love this. But if we had the chance to just make it bigger in France, I think we will do it, definitely.
Which is then nice that it fits your situation, that you have a lot of potential in France and then you could make it match this vision. And then, yeah, I guess touring has to be very well planned and structured to make it fit into maybe 2 months of the year or 1 month of the year. I see you do like a train tour around the world where you stop at every country once. It's like
Yeah, that could be possible.
yeah, that could be nice actually. You're gonna take a train from France and then ending back in France, and everywhere you come by, you have a gig.
To be honest, I think
A nice story
it
as
will be
well.
the way. Like Etienne said, I mean, in the future, there is many other option. I mean, less and for example, in 10 years, I think less and less people will be able to take flight already. Like for personal reason, it will be less and less the case. For ecological reason, economic reason, for different reason. So in all cases, this kind of idea about like taking a train and do a city by city and make a tour like more logical, in all cases will be a norm, I think, in the next 10 years. It will be really, and that's the worst. It's because when people will start, like, I mean, the listeners will start to have a bad image about artists because they do this kind of shit, suddenly artists will stop to do this kind of shit, not because they actually think, oh, it's better to don't do it. No, just because people don't want it, so I will do the other way. And but in all cases, I think it will be the case. It's not possible to imagine a world in 15 years and still thinking that like everyone will be able to fly everywhere. Like, it's not possible. It's delusional.
Yeah, I see it also in the business travel world that people are flying less, but for a complete different reason. It's just that it's becoming digital, and which has another downside is that you don't get to meet people face to face anymore. And I'm also struggling seeing live performances digitally. Like in COVID, it was a bit sad, but yeah, that could be something else to consider as a development, which is yeah, in business, it's already very, very common that you don't travel anymore to save cost, and because you can just meet face cam. Then music, you want to feel the music, right? You want to have the artist on stage. So I guess that's gonna take a bit longer and hopefully not happen the same way.
In all cases, even locally, like often the idea is that like it's better to work internationally because it's mean more people. But if you look at it like with more a realistic vision, there is 10 times more people that we can convince to listen to our music in France than the actual all people that listen us right now, even if they are come from everywhere in the world. It's not a bad thing to be appreciated in your country. There is so much people in France, for example. We are 67 or 68 million people, a tiny less than in Germany, but still, if we can just if our music can speak to only 20%, it's already so huge. I mean, like it will be 10 times bigger than trying to have like 1% of the world in terms of everything. So it's not literally not a bad thing to be local and international too. But people can listen across the world, but the idea of making tour every fucking month, I don't think that it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean it could be then your focus, right? At least on the one hand, as you're already super international to build your French base, or you're probably on that already, as I understood. And one more question. How do you see, have you been working with bookers, managers, all sort of people supposed to help you on the business side? And what do you think about those roles? Like, I know in electronic music, there's more bookers, and in other areas, you have the managers. But how do you see this kind of figure nowadays?
Chen can answer, but yeah, it's a wild world, definitely.
I mean, yeah, it's a bit Wild West because it's like it's not like in a company where you have a contract with someone where we say, okay, you have to work this amount of hours for me, and I need this result from you. So you will find someone, and often it's the case, it's a friend, and when you add the professional relation to this person, it can always get tricky because yeah, you want to ask him, okay, for example, the booker, give me more gigs, but you don't want to pressure him too much because he's a friend, and then yeah, it becomes like a bit yeah, delicate relationship. So I think yeah, that's why we or many other artists they change all the several years booking agents, and they try different options, and we right now at the moment we are pretty happy, but it's funny because yeah, we talk openly with our booking agents exactly about this subject I'm saying, like it's this bit like yeah, this it's it can
So
be a tricky relation, to really find a
yeah,
good balance, and because in the end there's no contract that is saying, okay, you need to do this for me. It's just about like can you please find me gigs, and in return you will have this amount of money, and return we can grow together. But other than that, it's just words. So it's yeah, it's that's a bit the tricky part.
and
And for the
everybody,
management, yeah, it can come afterwards, but it's also the same, like in the music industry, or other for cinema or theaters, or it's, I guess it's the same. It's it's work where there is like a lot of friendly relationship, and with the professional, it really blends together. So it's hard to manage. Yeah.
and it's something even weirder in it. It's like on the first look, everybody is kind of friend. Like Etienne said, it's really friendly world. While in the head of people, it's mostly business, and it's not about only business, but it is important in this world in music industry. So like when you arrived in the festival, for example, you do have like obviously Etienne and I we have other friend artist friends like that became friends for real, but for someone outside of this industry, if you come at the hotel with us for a festival, everybody is cheering up your best friend, like everybody, like everyone is like something like, because it's about music, and music should be fun and about taking fun and thing. But actually, like no one is here for, if you pay no one is here. Like I mean, it's still a business, so it's a weird relation, as Etienne said, between like it's really friendly, but it's not definite. It's not the case when you, because you always want, you expect something from someone, and the person expects something from you. So it's not a real really a friend relationship. Like I mean, it's like in, if you do have a normal work, if you work in marketing, for example, you can become friends with your colleague. That's the word, yeah. But that's possible, and everyone will understand it as yeah, they work together and they are friends. While in music, everyone that's supposed to work in music, you should at least being friendly. While in the work industry, it's not necessarily the case. And as Etienne said, I think it's quite the same in the cinema industry, in the theater industry, all the art industry, because it's something that yeah should be fun and arty and intellectual. So it shouldn't be business, but the actual the real world is business. Like I mean, straight you speak about money and money are involved, you are no longer just friend, you are partner in business.
Definitely. It's interesting for me because yeah, I come from the company world and I see exactly what you mean. It's just much more separated. The friendliness is really business, and if you become friends, it's something in addition. It's really split from the business.
Yeah.
also you're much more in an office, or you're not really working in music events where you drink, where you dance, where you kind of have a funny moment in some way. It's more serious. So yeah, it has pros and cons, I guess, but it's super interesting what you're saying.
But it's still important. I mean, like you do work with people with who you want to work. I mean, it's important, and you do have like friend vision and things. But yeah, the first link that you have generally with the person, it's business. You are not here by hazard, by coincidence, and saying, "Oh, but you're actually real friends for me." No, no, it's you are here first for business, and you can make friends. But yeah, it's surprising when you are not in the industry. And for example, in 2019, we told you, we did took a break for different reasons, but that was actually one of the reasons that like we were kind of disappointed of we when you start meeting like artists that you actually listen, that you said, oh, I love this guy, he should be, and when you actually meet him, all this kind of interaction became like, okay. At the beginning, you think you have like the work world, like all the world should work and have to work. Actually, it's not should, they have to. And when you starting making something like music, cinema thing, it's almost like you find a quarter and you find, oh, this world exists. And so at the beginning, you say like, it's amazing. It's not work. It's only a pleasure, fun, and like, and quickly you realize that no, it is like everywhere money is, business became like the main thing.
Yeah. Yeah, then I guess one challenge is also to, when you're working with someone, to structure well what's your target, what's your project. Did you already have kind of work with kind of a chef de projet, a project manager on specific something? I heard that's kind of a different format than the management format, right? It's not, the manager is kind of planning with you for more than a year at least on kind of building your strategy and getting a percentage of the revenue, or is a project manager would be more kind of having a very set project on, and then you need to agree very well on what that would be. So did you already do work with people on that base? If yes, what's your experience?
We never did.
Not really, no.
We do have work with manager, and it's even not real manager because it's more like booking stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's depend of people. I definitely think that if we find a person that we get in touch and we see that we got the same vision and thing, we will appreciate a lot. And I think it can help us a lot, definitely. But for Etienne, as for me, we do actually love thinking of like what's the artistic direction that's the things I have to take, and it's like it's the reason why we are making it. So like in the same way, like it's weird to give the only fun part to someone else. I don't know if it's hard to say in English, but we don't actually know what's mean like chef de projet for a music project, because if it's mean the guy or the woman will think, oh, you should starting making like music about this or thing like that, or maybe the visual should be, it can be really good and really good information for us, as it can be something that said, yeah, but like you actually just take what's fun in it. Like it's hard, but we don't have any experience in it, I think, except if Etienne, no, I don't think. I think everyone with who we worked were mostly about make the project growing. Yeah, that's true. But in a way of having just get more gigs. That's all.
Yeah, I guess our artist manager or project manager, however you want to frame it, in the end, it's just like a format that is kind of having different incentives, I guess, or different structure. But then I guess you need to agree just in the specific situation with that person, what would you like to give to that person? And then ideally, this is something that the person is really good at. Is it more something strategic, something administrative, something network focused, something more related to the artistic image, artistic direction? And then I think you can just decide, okay, this part you keep, this part you delegate, and then of course it's a constant exchange. The person, the manager or the project manager would never just impose things. It's always like an exchange, like a suggestion and then a modification. Or then if you say at one day, okay, I trust you don't need to confirm as much, or I think this can also vary a lot, the interaction and the division of responsibility, so to say. I guess no manager can do everything. The artist always does a great part. Maybe in some relations you have artists who just do music, but then where does it start? Where does it end? I guess you're still having your thoughts on what music you're doing and how you name your song and what's the story of your album, and then how you talk about yourself. It's in your hand, right? So
yeah, and that's exactly what you're saying reaches the point of why it's not anymore era of labels, and the artists, they don't release on labels anymore. They do it themselves, because in the end, as you're saying, it's the artist who is making the music, so he will know how to catch the attention of people with his personality and how to reach them the fastest way possible. And a label, they or some managers, they won't be able to do this. So for the and I know it's also the case in video games or in cinema, that they before there was like something similar to labels in video games, and now the video games, they release it themselves, because in the end you can do the promotion yourself. So it's
internet basically. Like but and something you say too, it's I do think that we maybe just did meet the right person yet to feel that okay, this person can hold this part of our and for example, we had both real hard problem with organization in general. Like, I mean, we want to do so much things, so someone that can help us with organization, like more in depth of our project, not just the booking part, definitely could help us. And but with another, like in the same way that Etienne said that now everyone tend to be independent, I think it's because even in music, when you make music if you make music, it's because music and not because it's a way to become famous or any other reason. You do have the feeling that you want to do it by yourself first, at least, because nowadays, if you take the top 100 of Billboard, like almost none of them do it themselves. Like, and it's almost something that like they don't do the music, they don't do the lyrics, they don't do the project, they don't choose the lines. So actually, they are just puppets that are beautiful, more or less, or more charming, or more like something else. And it's became like fully marketing in like when you look at the biggest thing that works the most now, it is the case. So when you make music because you feel that like it's actually cool to make music, there is a new trend now that like people want to more and more do it by themselves and be proud of, okay, it's my project, it's my thing. It's not like it's not an army of like businessmen that say, no, actually now we are in this time of the year, so it's better that you make this type of music and nothing. Oh, the lyrics that you make here, no, it's shit. Hey, here, you can write something and yeah, you can sing something and I will repeat behind you. That's the way it works now. Like when you take any artist, like, I mean, really huge, 99% of them actually don't make their own music. It's terrible to say it. Like, it's completely normal now. And it's when you take just a step back and think of it, it's so weird. Like that it's supposed to be subjective. You love like an imprint, a music touch, something that like became a link with another person, said, oh, what's the music? He wants to speak about this, or he wants to make me feel this. But no, it's this businessman coupled with this businessman and this woman and this woman and this. It's actually like a whole fucking crew that's make it. And they make it as for different artists. So you lose the reason why people make music and why people listen music. And I think more and more you have a tendency that like people want to do it themselves, or like do like the management, the visual, like the ID, the album, the lyrics, like everything, because you can be more proud of it. And when you do music as Etienne and I, you don't do it for the glory or the money. You do it because you love do it, like doing it. That's it. And after you think, for example, our main dream, it's not even to perform music in front of people. Our main dream, it's mostly about making, for example, music for movies, for video games, for shows. That's the thing that will interest, even it will interest. Definitely we will be more interested by doing this kind of music than just be able to perform in front of people. But a lot of people will, the main reason why they're starting making music, it's the fame, like that's real. It's not even bad to say it, but like it's gets attention, and it's automatically music became just a tool to be able to achieve this goal. But it's not the music itself the goal. The music, that's just most of the time now the tool of it.
Then me coming from the business marketing, like nothing to do with music, I see it a bit now as like a positioning also, that maybe you will always have this mainstream artist or this form of musician who is kind of there to sing and not there to write the lyrics, and there to be brought up by big labels or some with some other background, and the artists who position themselves rather in a more independent or in a more human organic niche. And then they're in this field where for you find this is your field on the metrics. You leave the mainstream and you do your thing. How can you then become the most successful in that? But then success for you is something different than for the mainstream artists. It means different people, maybe different listeners, different branding, different stories you tell, different values. Like if you build a tour around eco touring, let's say you take the train instead of the plane, this would be kind of maybe more your story, and then be a different positioning as a mainstream artist who still jets around the world. And then maybe more and more artists are gonna follow that direction, and in the future this could be the new mainstream. I don't know. But yeah, that's just how I pictured it now. And I did also my master's thesis, actually I did it with so I compared two groups. One was classical musicians and one electronic musicians. And I compared them and did like a framework of what's career success for them. And so I did interviews and some theoretical studies on how you have like a pyramid of, one is artistic creativity, one is like the economic, and one is something very personal or also linked to mental well-being. So you have like artistic, economic, and personal, and then you need a balance all the time. Let's say if you become economically more successful, you're going to make more money, you're going to become bigger as an artist. Maybe the other one suffers because you can't be as creative, or the personal one suffers because you can't take your peace because you're traveling all day long. And so you're always in this kind of triangle. That was my take. Well, it's never like everything together. You always need to trade off between them. And say for some period of time, I put more value on the economic because you're not that. It's just important to have it. Otherwise, you don't survive. Then once you have it, you maybe focus on other things, or you try to balance it equally, ideally, all the way long. But yeah, that's something I felt like it's concerning artists, but it's also concerning everyone in life.
Yeah, I mean, every work that's about ego, that where ego are involved, when you do music, art, anything, in all cases, it's mean that you are kind of in French, personne torturée. Like, I mean, you are kind of, you know, you are a suffering person when you won't do this. Like, I mean, it's make no. So you always feel as you can do more, and it's hard to be happy of what you achieved. Often, for example, we literally Etienne and I speak about that a week ago, and we said like it's funny because now we think when we will release our first album thinking about statistic, and we don't speak often about that, but here like we were okay, and we are almost disappointed now when we get some statistic that if you take us 5 years ago, we will be like, woo, that's amazing. And now we are, geez, only that. Oh, fuck. And that's a shit. So it's our mind in all cases, when you do art or when you produce something that's supposed to be a part of yourself that you expose to other one, I mean, you never can be fully happy, I think, in all cases, because you will always run after something, after creativity or after glory, after money at some point, after, because as you said, it's like a triangle of, we are not against the fact to being mainstream one day, like not at all. It's just that like it will never be like the main goal. The main goal is to be able to live your life making something you do like. That's the main goal. But obviously you get, yeah, torturé. It's the right word in French.
Yeah, I agree. Tortured.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I could be talking on for hours, actually. It's super interesting. I'm looking at the time, and also it's telling me again that the meeting's gonna end in 10 minutes. Maybe just to end the video recording, I'll just ask you a few short questions. You just say one option or the other.
Okay.
No need to explain. If you want, you can, but it's just to, yeah, you will see. Classical music or jazz?
Oh, that's a hard one. Both.
Classical for me. I love jazz, but still, we do practice jazz together. That's the way we meet almost to making jazz music together. But classical, it's the root of everything.
Beer or wine?
Me and myself, as I'm half German, I would say beer.
Me, as a Portuguese French, I will say none of them. I don't like alcohol so much.
So what's Portuguese sangria? No, that's Spanish. Okay,
No,
no.
I make the joke, but there's nothing linked with like my roots, because French people do love wine and Portuguese do love alcohol. But,
coffee or tea then? Okay. Eurovision or Tour de France?
About France, you mean?
Eurovision or Tour de France? Where would you rather go?
Okay. In France, you mean?
Eurovision, yeah, in France.
Well, I mean, it's.
But I'm not sure even to understand the question.
The Eurovision Song Contest or the Tour de France? Where would you rather go to see?
I have no idea, but I will say Tour de France because at least you like the atmosphere.
Yeah, same. I would say the same.
Conga or bongo?
They come from more or less the same culture, and you can do the same with both basically if you tune them differently. So it's hard.
Yeah.
But if I have to choose, I would say bongo.
And to be honest, I'm not even sure to make like a perfect difference between them. So for me, it's I like it.
To be completely open. That's why I was curious about your answer.
For me, I don't even say that. What's actually the difference? Except like I mean the object. But if you refer only to the sound, one sounds maybe a bit more rounded than the other. But that's the only thing I can see.
A conga is huge. you
Yeah,
play. Yeah,
but I don't speak about the instrument. I speak about like the sounds that make it.
yeah. So if it's more huge, there's more volume, so it's more deep. But
Okay, yeah, okay.
it's the note is lower. Yeah.
And then major or minor scale?
What was it?
Major or minor scale? Major or minor?
Major or minor? Oh, minor.
Minor too.
What else do I have? Croissant or pretzel?
Croissant or?
Pretzel,
Croissant.
German pretzel.
Croissant.
I mean, there is even a match.
Mm,
Sorry, but croissant.
can't
Of course.
compare, I agree. Pretzel.
Definitely croissant.
What else do I have? French kiss or German hug? You know, like the bisou, and the Germans
Yeah.
they hug each other when they say hello, which for French is quite strange, and the other way around the same.
Yeah, I think both us
Yeah, kind of.
are good or bad, but it's it's so hard. It's no. I have a glitch in my mind when I start to think about what I. It's like it's hard.
You prefer kissing or hug? But I mean, I understand the question, but like, I will choose kiss just for one reason. It's because I'm not too much a tactile person, so I don't love like when people like embrace me or something like that. I weirdly prefer just do like from kind of far than do.
Which for German feels more close because it's like the face. I don't know. It's really
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
complete
it's
different
cultural. It's
perception.
like
Yeah. But I noticed something that like foreigners, when they do la bise, they actually kiss the cheek, while French people never do it. Like you just
Okay.
barely like you
Misunderstood.
just put your cheeks to the other cheeks, but you never kiss the actual cheek of the person. That will be weird.
Okay, let's do it there. I think it's a nice ending of our talk.
Yeah.
Better than torture. Okay. Didn't. So yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Just
Thanks to you.
gonna
Thank you.
start